In all my years exploring these endless worlds, I thought I'd seen it all. From the deepest caves shimmering with amethyst to the towering spires of ice, I've charted landscapes that defy imagination. But nothing could have prepared me for this. It started like any other expedition, a new world, a fresh map, and the promise of discovery. I was trekking across a vast, untouched mountain range, the kind of place where the snow is so deep, every step is a struggle. The air was thin. The silence, broken only by the crunch of my boots and the howl of the wind. It was beautiful, desolate, and perfectly normal. Ten primera, sa, w, italiano, a flicker on the horizon. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of the light, a heat haze dancing above the frozen peaks, but a heat haze in the middle of a snow biome. It made no sense. As I moved closer, the flicker resolved into something more definite. A line. A perfectly straight, unnatural line cutting through the landscape. It was a scar on the world, a place where the familiar rules of nature seemed to bend. My curiosity got the better of me. I had to know what it was. The journey towards the anomaly was slow, deliberate. Each step forward felt like a step into the unknown. The wind whipped harder, as if trying to push me back, to keep me from witnessing something I wasn't meant to see. This world, like every world in Minecraft, is built from a complex tapestry of biomes. Think of them as continents of code, each with its own climate, its own life. These biomes are determined by a few key factors: temperature, humidity, and elevation. It's a logical system, a set of rules that governs how a world is born. A snowy tundra will border a taiga forest. A forest might transition into plains. It's all a delicate dance of numbers, creating a world that feels natural, that feels real. But what I was approaching didn't feel natural at all. The line in the distance grew sharper, clearer. It wasn't a shadow or a glitch in the rendering. It was As I crested the final ridge, my breath caught in my throat. Below me, nestled in a perfect circle within the heart of the snowy mountain, was a desert. A perfect, golden circle of sand. It was impossible. It was a paradox. I stood there for a long time, just staring. A circle of scorching desert surrounded on all sides by meters of deep snow and ice. The transition wasn't gradual. It was absolute. One block was covered in a thick blanket of white. The next was pure, sun-baked sand. Spruce trees, heavy with snow, stood mere feet from towering saguaro cacti. The sight was jarring, a fundamental contradiction that sent a shiver down my spine. And it had nothing to do with the cold. There are rules to this universe, unwritten laws, that have governed these worlds since their creation. And one of the most basic rules is this: cold and hot biomes cannot generate together. A desert and a snowy peak are polar opposites on the temperature scale. They are programmed to be separated by thousands of blocks, buffered by temperate zones. They should never, ever touch. This was a rule being broken right before my eyes. Slowly, I descended the slope, my boots sinking into the soft snow. I reached the edge, the impossible border. I hesitated, then stepped across. The world changed in an instant. The biting cold was replaced by a dry, suffocating heat. The sound of the wind howling through the pines gave way to a dead desert silence. I was standing on sand, cacti dotting the landscape around me. But when I looked up, I saw the snow-covered peaks of the mountain range ringing the horizon, an impossible, frozen crown. What could cause something like this? A glitch in the world generation. Some rare, 1 in a trillion seed that pushed the game's engine to its absolute limit and then broke it. Or was it something else? A corruption, perhaps. A slow decay in the world's code. An error spreading like a virus, rewriting the very fabric of reality. I walked deeper into the circle. I saw things that shouldn't exist. A cactus, its base buried in sand, but its top few feet were covered in a layer of impossible frost. I found a small stream of meltwater from a snow cap just outside the circle, flowing onto the sand and then just disappearing. It didn't form a pool. It just vanished into the hot ground, as if consumed by the anomaly. It felt like the world itself was confused, trying to reconcile 2 realities that were never meant to coexist. It was a place of profound and beautiful error. It wasn't just a bug, it was a statement. A puzzle without an answer. I spent hours there, charting the circle, documenting its impossible features. The more I saw, the less I understood. Every world in Minecraft is a story, written in blocks and code. Most, a tales of adventure, of survival, of creation. But this world was a ghost story, a mystery novel. As the sun began to set, casting long, strange shadows across both sand and snow, I climbed to the highest peak overlooking the anomaly. From up Terre, the sight was even more breathtaking. A perfect circle of gold in a sea of white. A wound or a wonder, I couldn't decide which. It was a flaw in the master plan, a beautiful, impossible mistake that raised so many questions. Is this just a random error, a forgotten line of code that ran when it shouldn't have? Or is it a sign of something more? A hint that the rules we take for granted are not as solid as we believe. Looking down at that perfect, impossible biome, I was left with one final, unsettling thought. Is the world broken? Or is it evolving?